Hi, Brian Kirkland here. I'm zooming in from Washington, D.C., where I'm doing college visits with my son. I understand, if I'm not mistaken, that this is Steve's last meeting. First off, to all the members of the board, I wanted to thank you for the important work that you are doing during this critical time. There's never been a more important time period, I think, for our community to be focused on. We can start the timer any minute here. But there's never been a more important time for us to be focused on our critical mission of making sure that every student has an opportunity to succeed to their highest level. Steve, mostly my comment is directed at you, and it's not perhaps as vitriolic as some of the comments that we heard in our time together on the board. I simply want to say that there's an old saying, may you live in interesting times, meaning that being in uninteresting times would be easy, but interesting times are always challenging. And getting to serve in interesting times is certainly challenging as well. So I did want to say that during the 4 years that I was involved as a board member, we kept, Chris Lynch and I kept a list of quote unquote firsts. And the list got so extensive that we gave up on the idea of even putting together a t-shirt with all the firsts, because it would have been extra large. But Steve, leaders rise to the challenge of their times, and the interesting times that you served, there were plenty of challenges. Certainly, some that came to mind real quick were December 10th, 2013, which was a 6.5-hour board meeting, 7.5-hour board meeting that ended at 1:30 in the morning. It was fascinating. You had one board member who zoomed in more or less from 3 different locations around the world during that meeting. You were able to be part of the team that attacked the facilities master plan, and through doing so, you have left an enduring mark on our community, making sure that all of our facilities no longer get in the way of our education. We were part of $4.5 million budget cuts. That was difficult, but again, something that had to be worked on, and was again, you and your team rose to the challenge. We instituted weighted resource allocation, which was a first of its kind, to make sure that the students with the greatest barriers to education had the most barriers eliminated possible. We even saw a lawsuit directed at 4 of your board members that went all the way to the Iowa Supreme Court. That's definitely a first. All in all, I won't take any more time here. I will just say this, Steve: relationships happen for a reason, and getting to know people happen for a reason. And in all relationships, I think we hope to take away as much as we give. I am taking away an awful lot from the 4 years that we got to work together, and for you members of the board that I didn't get to work with, I really wish that I had gotten to work alongside you, because you're all doing a great job. For the one board member who I did get to work with, keep up the good work. It's hard, but put your head down and endure. Steve, wish you the best of luck, and maybe we'll see you up at Nuski's Bacon in North Wisconsin. You take care.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you dialing in from the college tours that you're on. Hope everything's going well. Next, we have Chris Lynch.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, hello to my old friends at ICC SD, and it's Chris Lynch zooming in only from Coralville, so I'm staying close today. I want to start by thanking all the board members for your volunteerism and your leadership in these challenging times, and a special thank you to your families who support you in all you do. They're the unheard of heroes in supporting our board members. I want to thank all of our staff for working through the challenge of COVID. So thank you for everything you're doing for our students to continue with remote education or remote education support, or thank you for providing meals for our students that require that support. And just know that my thoughts and prayers are with you as you return this fall. Hopefully return this fall, but I know you'll do whatever is in the best interest of our students and in determining the new normal. Certainly our nation and community are in historic times, and we have historic opportunity for improvement, specifically with equity and racial equity. And I just want to pass on, I've always thought the school board has a unique voice in discussions like this because we uniquely represent our students and we represent the kids of our community. And each one of our students deserves an equal opportunity at the American dream. Each one of them has the right to pursuit of happiness. And I think when we think through that and also put on the lens of, you know, not being a racist is no longer acceptable. Really, in the future, we need to be anti-racist. I look forward to your leadership moving us forward, both as a district, and I also hope you have a strong voice in our community and helping our community move forward. So I see you have a heavy agenda tonight, and I just wish you well moving forward on this topic. I want to also thank Steve for over a decade of contribution. And I thought I would do that by talking about what I appreciated the most from Steve. One, I always appreciated his systems approach to continuous improvement. The cold hard truth is that I think the district was relatively undisciplined when he started. We had, you know, internal controls challenges, financial challenges. And, you know, in recent history, we won awards for internal controls, financial controls. We've got great systems on safety and security. It was better than we've ever had. And you could go on and on. So I appreciate that the system Steve leaves behind will continue to drive the district moving forward. I also appreciated his ability to attract talent. We have a great team. People have always been the strength of the Iowa City Community School Districts. We've had a great leadership team, a great staff in general. And I know that staff will continue to drive great improvement moving forward, and again, focused on meeting our needs of our students. And I always appreciated that Steve put the time in to deliver breakthrough. And Brian Kirschling just mentioned a number of the breakthrough items, but I listed a few. We certainly saw a breakthrough in some of our reading results, specifically with our at-risk kids, through things like the weighted resource model. We saw a historic expansion of the ELL program. We expanded and solidified the transition program. Safety and security, I know my time on the board, we were working about 25 improvement items, and you know, it's become the new normal. Our safety and security breakthrough items. Kirkwood Community College, if you think about it, it feels like it's been there forever, but it's what a tremendous accomplishment bringing that on to our students and having that capability and potentially reduce cost of college. And then the facilities master plan, of course, has transformed our learning environment, and that's been great for both our students and our staff. So that's quite a list of breakthrough items. And I think the last one is you just see less divisiveness in our community versus when Steve started. So that's perhaps his last great accomplishment. So thank you, Steve. Best of luck to your family. And I hope you get to cheer on the Packers. Go Packers. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that an awful lot. I'm going to move now to some additional community commenters. First up next will be Jane, followed by Nazik Khalil.
Okay, thanks for having me. I'm here at Community Comment tonight. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. I'm a parent of the district, Jane Finch, 340 Knowling Drive, 2 kids at West High. Tonight I'm here as the chair of the school district's equity committee. We were supposed to have several presenters come at community comment so we could divide our time at 4 minutes so we wouldn't get cut off. But it looks like you're just stuck with me tonight. So I'm going to try to go through it very quickly. We emailed a document to the board over the weekend about our collective recommendations for how to move forward in the current environment, which we view as a unprecedented opportunity to move ahead with equity issues. These are very much collective recommendations from the committee that we put down over the last couple of weeks. However, they are things that we've been talking about really for the last several years, certainly for the last 3 years that I've been on the committee. So we're very excited that and very hopeful that the things that we've been talking about will be put to action. Mostly we've divided it into categories as additions to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Plan, which is a rather new document, but it's a living and breathing document. And so we're recommending some additions. We're also recommending some steps that are more immediate action. Number one, for the equity departments and immediate action, we recommend fully supporting and retaining the equity program facilitator position. Moving on to police, the item of police presence. Our immediate action that we recommend is to pass a resolution that any future decision to add SROs would need to have a supermajority of the board voting in its favor. Under the DEI plan, we would recommend adding the following critical tasks. Number one, to pass a policy that members of the Iowa City, Coralville, University Heights, North Liberty police departments do not routinely patrol school grounds, and that officers do not come onto the grounds except by request. We recommend this being also for activities and after school hours. We recommend reviewing the procedures for when local area police are called onto campus to ensure issues are handled with equity and care. And I would add to that that perhaps there may be certain officers who should not be dealing with children, and those that should be something that is worked out between the district and the police departments. In terms of discipline, our immediate action that we recommend is to immediately update the DPP, the Discipline Policies and Procedure Binder. This is something we've been talking about for a while. The critical task would be to implement discipline protocols that are culturally competent through a collaboration. We would recommend this being done by a committee made up of diverse stakeholders. Another critical task is to implement restorative practices district-wide. In terms of curriculum, our immediate action would be to remove all racist instructional materials. For example, we'll give one example, which would be the 5th grade social studies textbook, which has been talked about this past year as something that needs to go. Updating the DEI plan, we would recommend adding proactive anti-racist curriculum at all grade levels and adding a robust equity review to the review process of all curriculum reviews. Mental and emotional health, immediate action, increase funding for school counselors and social workers. Critical task, adopt restorative practices in all buildings. And critical task, adopt social emotional learning curricula throughout all grade levels. Personnel, immediate action, begin tracking retention rates, teachers and administrators of color. Immediate action, conduct exit interviews and collect data. Immediate action, provide a protocol for reporting issues with other staff, including supervisors, that provides due process and discourages a culture of retaliation. Under the DEI plan, yes.
I'm sorry, your 4 minutes is up. You have one last bit. Yep.
I just have one last bit here. Commit to strategy of hiring administrators of color and extend cultural competency training to all staff. And then community engagement, immediate action. We recommend taking immediate action on the DEI plan to increase representation from parents in the survey, and to develop a racial equity policy that mirrors the work that the district has done with LGBTQ. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Appreciate that very much. Next is Nazik Khalil, followed by Sana Mohammadamalin. Nazik, it says talking permitted, but it looks like your microphone might still be muted. Can you hear us? It looks like your microphone might be muted. Can you check and see, Nazik, if you've got your mic turned on? So what we might do, Nazik, I might move on to Sana, and come back to you and see if we can get your mic working so that we can hear from you. So we'll come back to you. I'm going to go next to Sana.
Janet, it looks like Nazik's mic is unmuted now.
Okay, so Nazik, do you want to give it a go?
Hello, hi.
Hello.
Hi. I'm sorry, I don't need watch my face. I think, do you listen to me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. I think I am put for not correct. I'm sorry, but I need to say I am agree for classes Arabic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank you. Thank you
for
so
your
much.
comments tonight.
Mhm.
Okay, now we'll move to Sana, and we'll follow Sana by Asma Ali. Kim, can we grant permission, talking permission to Sana?
Hey, Janet, I don't know if you saw it, but if you noticed there in the chat session, there's someone from the Center for Worker Justice. If anybody needs a translator, that they can translate as well.
Oh, good. Thank you, Paul. I did not see that. I haven't been checking chat along the way. I appreciate the update there. Okay, so it looks like Sana may have dropped out of it having her hand up.
Asma is in with her mic unmuted.
Let's go, Asma. You're up.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
And can you see me?
No,
No.
can't see you.
Oh no. Oh, really? Okay. All right. I can't see an option here in my screen to put a picture or anything.
That's all right.
Yeah, okay.
You
Maybe
might only
later.
have the right to speak.
My name is Asma Ali. I teach Arabic language at Washington High School, and today I want to tell you more about the curriculum that I used to teach, and it's so beautiful. I started it in 2011 when I got my license, and I am the first teacher in the state of Iowa, actually, to be licensed or licensed in Arabic language. The program, I am offering it for students here in Iowa City because of the community where I live, and they need this type of language. It's very helpful for all of us and for you too as Iowans. We started in 2011 with 32 students actually at the school, and it's continued to bring more students. And the good things about it, the class was 80% of my class American kids, and then the 20% including others from different countries. It was very successful program. Many of the students benefit from this program, getting a very good job and acceptance in many of the universities. And I can show you some of the curriculum that I used during our 9 years courses. Actually, we have it in Washington High School. This is, I don't know if one of you is familiar with it. And by the way, there is many of the people join us today. I don't know how many of them, but some of them also send an emails that they are really in need of this type of language. One of the books, you can see me actually. The name of the book, they call it Al-Kitab in any way. Al-Kitab 1 and 2 and 3. And I'm sure everyone in Iowa City, school, district, school, public school, I mean, they will benefit from this program. If I will talk more if there is any questions, and I will stop until here to give a chance for somebody else.
Thank you so much for your comments tonight, Asma. I appreciate that very much. We'll move next to Yasmin El-Bashir, followed by Akia Nairi Smith. Yasmin, it looks like your microphone is muted. There should be a mute button towards the bottom left of your screen. That should enable you to turn on your microphone so you can speak tonight. Yasmin, I think your mic is muted. So if you can hear us, we'll want you to unmute your microphone so we can hear you. Okay, I'm going to come back to you, Yasmin, and see if we can get your microphone unmuted.
Just before you move on, can we add the Center for Worker Justice person as a commenter on here so maybe they can
help
translate as we go?
Yeah, I think so. So Dahlia, there's no Houghton in my screen. So add, Paul, your point is to add the person from Center for Worker Justice to be able to speak, talking permitted, to help with translation?
Yes, just to make sure there's no communication differences going on between you and the
I think that's good. Do we know who that is on our list of panelists so that we can, here we go.
It's listed as Center for Worker Justice of Eastern Iowa is on there. I don't know who it is. I would appreciate them saying their name if we give them rights to talk.
Pam, can you make them able to speak?
Which one?
I think I just gave them permission to.
Hello, hi, you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Mazahir Saleh. I'm the community organizer at the Center for Worker Justice. I just thought maybe because some people, in the beginning, they struggle. I thought maybe if somebody would like to comment in Arabic, so I can translate for them.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
I'm gonna say that in Arabic. لو في أي واحد هنا في الزوم عايز ترجمة ممكن يتكلم عادي باللغة العربية وأنا بترجم له. Thank you.
So could you help provide some instructions in Arabic in terms of how to find the controls for muting and unmuting a microphone?
الناس اللي عاملة إذا عندك ميوت ممكن بيجيك رسالة إنك أنت تعمل unmute، ولو الرسالة ما شفتها ممكن في زي مايكروفون صغير من تحت ممكن تدوسي عليه فبيعمل لك unmute.
And we were wanting to hear from from Yasmin, is who is up next. And it looks like the microphone is still muted.
Yasmin, what her name? Say again. Yasmin, you said?
Yes.
Can you يعني ممكن تعمل الميكروفون بتاعك عامل ميوت، ممكن تعمليه ان ميوت عشان يقدر يسمعوكي لانه ما سامعينك.
Well, thank you for working on that. I think what we'll do is come back and see if we can pick that commenter back up. But we will move to, I think I'd identified Akia Mary Smith next, followed by Pixel. Akia, looks like you're good to go.
Thank you. I'm Aki Nairi, or Kiki, and with I Am Freedom Writers with the demands for the school board for this meeting, 6/23/22. I wanted to review the talking points that, thank you for meeting last week. We look forward to continuing the conversation with you. We're going to restate the 7 demands with background of importance. 1, an alternative school review board process for students who are sent to alternative schools. 2, a more diverse school board that is representative of the members of the community. 3, the complete removal of SRO, school resource officers, from public schools. 4, an actively anti-racist curriculum that demonstrates a well-rounded and complete knowledge of Black history in the US. We contend that this be implemented through anti-racist personnel and hiring of a diverse staff that is qualified to do the work necessary for these changes to occur. 5, create an equity team / community involved task force to rewrite the ICCSD discipline protocol so that it's free of language and behaviors that target students of color. Draft a document that includes a culturally responsive tier of consequences. Create a tiered list of consequences that can be recommended to hold schools accountable for the overrepresentation of African Americans receiving office referrals and suspensions. 6, provide mental and financial support to support recruit and retain teachers, administrators, and school board members of color. And then 7, empower the district equity committee to hear complaints of racial bias from students and staff. 1, tiered level of consequences, and 2, allow this group to make recommendations to the board for consequences to founded racial harassment claims. So we liked some of the responses posted by the district and equity committee in regards to these 7 demands posted, but we have questions and changes that we would like to address at the next school board work session. So this one currently, and then further on to further this discussion. And we wish to keep this in discussion before we go into full voting so we can make sure that we are clear in what we are fully demanding and requesting and how we want to go about that.
Thank you very much. Anything else? You've got a minute and a little bit left. That was very clear and I appreciate the overview.
Thank you. And not exactly, I mostly wanted to tackle those so that we can get into the addressment of that. The document of what we are addressing with those are listed and I presume to have been forwarded that way.
Very good. Thank you so much for your commenting tonight. I appreciate it very much.
Janet, just one follow-up question.
Yes.
One follow-up question. So Kiki, I just to follow up. So to understand correctly, and you guys met with a small group of the board, but we would like to have, at least I would like to have a meeting with the entire board. So are you suggesting, and what I'm hearing correctly, that possibly at the next work session that we have, that we would invite your group in to have the discussion with our entire board?
Yes, that is exactly what we are suggesting, because we agree that we would like a complete meeting with our entire group and your entire group.
Perfect. I think we would all enjoy that. So thank you for your comments.
Yes, thank you for asking for the clarification. Glad to help.
Thank you. We'll move on to Pixel. And it looks, Pixel, like you have a muted microphone.
And also, Mazahir, if you see in the chat, there are some questions I can't read because they're in Arabic that you may maybe be able to help out with in chat as well.
That'd be great. And it looks like Pixel's good to go.
Sure.
Thank you.
I will.
Pixel? It looks like you're good to go. Your mic is unmuted. Can you hear us? Hello? Maybe volume? Pixel? It looks like you're good to go. Can you hear us? Okay, I'm going to, it looks like we're so close there. I hate to move on, but I'm going to move on to, we'll come back. Pixel, hopefully we can pick you up. I'm going to move to Amal Taha. And it looks like you should be good to go. Talking permitted and your microphone is on.
Yeah, me Amal Taha. Thank you for giving me chance to speak. My name is Amal Taha. I'm a student in Kirkwood Community College, and I attended this meeting to support the idea of studying Arabic in Iowa school. Thank you.
Thank you, Amal. Thank you for coming tonight and for offering your comments. Appreciate it very much. Pixel, do we want to give it another go? I saw that you turned your microphone back off, but you had it on. Okay, we'll move on to Walid Al-Alam. And Walid, microphone is, there we go. Looks like you're good to go.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sana Muhammad Al-Amin, and I prefer to speak with Arabic, with Mazahir.
Thank you. So Mazi here, can you help translate perhaps?
Yes, go ahead. أيوة اتكلم.
أيوة يا مزاهر، معاكي سناء محمد الأمين. معلش. أيوة أنا كان عندي باد سيجنال وصراحة ما عارفة في شنو، لكن أهمية الموضوع حاليا أنا عايزة يعني أكون سبورت للأيديا بتاعت إنه يضيفوا اللغة العربية للمدارس. فهل الحاجة دي حاليا خلاص ولا لا؟ لأنه بصراحة عندي باد سيجنال وما عارفة.
She said, you know, she's here to ask you to support the idea of including Arabic and the public school as a like elective language, but she really doesn't know are you guys talking about this now or exactly what's going on, or are we just coming here to just tell you what we need? Like, is this something part of the agenda? Is something that you are speaking about, or just that's what she asking? Because she said she had a bad signal in the beginning and she wasn't following from the beginning.
And I need to translate all this to Arabic, so I am not understand all the meeting.
Yeah, she said just like, you know, she cannot she would like to know the meeting, but she cannot understand it as you hear her.
Understand. So we're in community comment and having members of our community come and speak to us about matters that they feel are very important for the school district to consider. And so we're listening to community members tonight on a number of topics. And there have been a number of community members noting the support for teaching Arabic in our schools. And so that's been a point of comment this evening. We've also heard from IFR and the demands presented to the school board that we'll be discussing tonight. And so those have been the primary topics of community comment. We also had a couple speakers speak about Superintendent Steve Murley's tenure and some of his accomplishments in his role as superintendent. So tonight we're taking comments from community members about matters they want the school board to be considering as we discuss a variety of topics going forward.
قلت لكي نحن اليوم في ده طبعا during البابليك كمان اللي هو الناس بيجوا يتكلموا دي بدون زي الساعة الأولى. أي زول عنده أي حاجة داير يوصلها للسكول ديستريكت البورد يعني بتاعه بيجي يكلمون عنها. فقالت إنه الواحد ممكن يتكلم عن أي حاجة من ضمن. في ناس كم نفر يتكلموا قالوا عايزين بيشجعوا إنه يكون في اللغة العربية في المدارس أو بيطلب إنه اللغة العربية يدرسوها في المدارس. لكن دي عبارة عن public comment بس. يعني دي ما حاجة مثلا في الأجندة بتاعته إن أنت بس بتجي تقولي مثلا نحن عايزين كده. بعد ذاك هم بيمشوا يجتمعوا مع البورد ويشوفوا يعني يتكلموا في الموضوع ده. لكن نفس الفترة دي فترة البابليك كمان إنه الناس بس تقول عايزة شنو يعني.
أيوة فهمت. فخلاص يلا.
وقالت لك عندهم تاني كم حاجة يعني البروتستر برضو عندهم مطالب. جاي الناس اللي كانوا متظاهرين عندهم مطالب دايرين يعملوها في السكول برضو حيناقشوها حيسمعوا منهم الليلة. وبرضو عندهم طبعا انت عارفة السوبرنتندنت خلاص ماشي فدايرين يحتفلوا بالحاجات اللي هو عملها يتكلموا عن الإنجازات اللي عملها خلال الفترة بتاعته بتاعت 10 سنين.
أيوة خلاص.
لكن كده انت وصلتي رسالتك يعني.
خلاص الحمد لله. نؤيده بشدة يعني على الأقل بجد يعني حتى الطلبة ذاتهم ممكن يكونوا يساعدونا نحن كناس يعني ما بنتكلم إنجليزي بصورة كويسة يعني فالحاجة دي بتقوي الرابطة بين البيرنت والسكول يعني.
أوكي
الأولاد يكونوا بيعرفوا عربي.
Yeah, the last thing that she said, I know her time is over, but she's saying that yes, even our kids when they started understanding both language, English and Arabic, they will communicate with us in the Arabic language to tell us what's going on at the school, since we don't understand English and we don't understand what's going on the school.
Thank you for your comments, and Mazahir, thank you for the translation.
You're welcome, no problem.
We're going to come back to Pixel. It looks like your mic is on and you're ready to go. Can you hear us? I'm hoping that we can get your audio going so that we can hear from you tonight. I'm going to actually keep moving. We've got a number of other folks that are wanting to speak. We'll move to El Wasila Ahmad, followed by Mai Misbah.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, my name is Al-Wasil Al-Hassan. I'm a test technician engineer at Rockwell Collins. And I would like to strongly support Arabic language to be in the school system. And I would like to offer, if this will happen, I would like to offer to be a volunteer. And I know a lot of people, they willing to be a volunteers by any type of work, if in terms of teaching, in terms of supporting any kind of applications to make this work. And I would like to thank you so much to give us this opportunity, and hopefully it will be success. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming tonight and addressing the school board with your comments. Appreciate that. Mai, followed by an iPhone user.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. And I would love to thank you, all of you, for all the effort that you're doing for the Iowa City School District to make sure that our children is getting as much as they can with these circumstances right now. And I will love to support and appreciate if you just consider to add the Arabic language is all Iowa School District. And I believe my personal opinion, I feel that it's gonna be part of the solution to many problems that, and since we are a very diverse community, it's gonna be really helpful for us. That's all I wanna add. And thank you so much again for everything.
Thank you so much for coming tonight and offering your comments. Appreciate it very much. Next up, we have an iPhone user. It looks like you are ready to go from permissions. Your mic is muted. And it looks like you've taken your hand down. So I'm going to move on to Samir.
Hello.
Hello.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
So this is Asmahan Abdul Karim. Samir is my husband name. So I want to vote and support the Arabic at the school district. I feel like that's what our kids need. It's going to be so nice to have the English and Arabic at the same way. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming tonight and offering your comments. We've got one additional, looks like Nowadr, and Nowadr. And your mic is off. I feel like Zoom is difficult for some of these controls. The speaker, Nowadr, I apologize for that. I'm not pronouncing that, but your microphone is turned off, and so we cannot hear you. Okay, so we've got another community commenter that wants to speak. Usanu Kita. Talking's permitted. There you go. Your mic is off. You're ready to go.
Hello and good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you all school board members, Iowa City Community School District board members. I'm on the road right now and I have a limited battery just in case I got cut off. I'm the president of the Muslim community here in Iowa City, and it has always been strongly urged from my community that I should talk to the school board to see how we can introduce the Arabic language in the Iowa City Community School District. I talked to the superintendent a couple of years ago, and he said he was going to bring it up for you guys to consider, because it's a process. It has to go through the school board, get approved, and get funding. But I think there were other things happening and he didn't get around to introduce it to you. But anyway, it's something my community has been demanding for a while. And in fact, they have even gotten motivated to participate in the school district election to elect those who would potentially support the idea of introducing Arabic language in the Iowa City Community School District. So again, as a community leader, I'm here to bring that up to let you know that there is a great number of my community members who are looking forward to have the Arabic language in the Iowa City Community School District system. And it's not only my community members who would benefit from this. all the students of the Iowa City's community school district will benefit to choosing an other foreign language other than the ones that are already been offered. For example, my own son, my own kids are in the school system. You know, I told my son, why not try Spanish? Nah, I don't want to do Spanish. French, no. So you have to have something, a second language. And I was hoping if Arabic was a choice, probably he would have chosen to do Arabic. My daughter did French, but she would have taken Arabic if Arabic was in the system. So once again, you know, as an advocate of my community, I will strongly urge the school board members to seriously consider this option of adding Arabic as a second language in the Iowa City Community School District. And I can guarantee that it will have more participation than some of the foreign languages that are currently in the system. And once again, I thank you all for giving me this opportunity to make my comment, and you all stay safe and protected. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments tonight. Really, really appreciate them. I think we've got a few more who would like to comment. There's a phone number, 987-334-9867. Yep, so you're up. Please unmute your mic. Speaker 987-334. Can you unmute your mic? Okay, we're going to move on and come back if we can to, I think we tried the community commenter NOWADR. It looks like your microphone is now turned on. You ready to go?
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
This is Nawader Mohammed. I support adding Arabic as the language for schools, and I appreciate your work. Thank you so much, and stay safe.
Thank you very much for coming tonight. I appreciate your comments. We'll skip down to Khalid.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi, yeah, my name is Khalid, and I'm actually a West High graduate, a proud West High graduate. And I also support adding Arabic to the curriculum, because I think it's really important for the community. Sometimes, especially like when I was growing up, community members, like they grow up learning how to speak English pretty well, and it becomes their predominant language. And then there's like a communication barrier between them and their parents. And so I think it's important for those kids to grow up to understand their parents, to have good communication skills with their parents, and also for the school to have a method of communication with the parents, because I think Iowa City, it's a very diverse community, and it has a lot of people, and I think especially a lot of people who speak Arabic, and I think it's like one of the important aspects to have. Aside from that, I know a lot of businesses right now are moving into the Middle East. It's like a huge growth area, and so the Arabic language is also a language that's like growing in like even business demands. And so, so it's also very beneficial. It's actually good for our for future graduates to know the language. Yeah, and I know a couple of people, for example, who are learning the language to go into like the United Nations and other stuff like that. So I think it's also, I think it's a good idea to add it as an option for students to study. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments tonight, Khaled. I appreciate it very much. We'll go to Mahmouda Musa.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello, everyone. I first would like to thank everybody for being here tonight. And I do appreciate the chance for us to talk and say our voice about incorporating Arabic language to the school district syllabi. We highly appreciate that. This was a really barrier between a lot of parents and their kids and the community level beside the family level. So this is going to help us so much. as parents, for us to understand our language, for our kids to understand our language, be able to speak it, read it, and write it. This is a huge thing if the school district will put it in consideration. And we highly appreciate tonight's meeting. We do appreciate all the efforts you guys had for us. And we appreciate also the efforts you have for our kids at the school. Thank you very much. So yes, I do support incorporating Arabic in the school district syllabi.
Thank you for your comments tonight. Very much appreciate you coming and offering those. We'll move to Camille.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear.
Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and we hope you all safe there. We totally support adding the Arabic language in the Iowa City School District. That will benefit all the kids, not only the kids whose parents speak Arabic, but I believe it will benefit every kid in this school district. So we really support that, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to share our support to this addition of the Arabic language in the Iowa City School District. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments tonight. Next up is Nada.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm support to do language Arabic in school district because it help my children to understand everything about Arabic, because when we came here, we forget everything about Arabic, just talk, but no for writing or reading. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments tonight. And then we will try phone number 987-334 one more time and see if we can get your mic unmuted so we can hear from you tonight. It looks like you still may be muted. And so we will move to Wala Ali. I thought I saw a hand raised, but it looks like it got taken off. So one last time for 987-334, if we can get your mic unmuted, we'd like to hear from you tonight. Okay, so it looks like we've got a couple others who've come on with their hands raised. Amuna Hussein. It looks like you, there you go. It looks like you're ready to go. And now, looks like you should be go. Your mic is on. Looks like you're ready to talk, except now the mic is now turned off again. There you go. Can you hear us? We hear sort of a buzzing sound, but we don't hear you. So I'm going to, there's a couple other commenters. There's an Arabic name that I'm not able to read. So, but you have the opportunity to talk. Are you?
Hello, is this me?
Yes, hello, please.
Hi, this is Visal Hussein. I'm the Sudanese American Community Services organization president. So I just want to thank everyone in the board for this opportunity. We have been looking for this 19 years. So we moved to Iowa since 2003, and we have been waiting for the school district to add this Arabic language to the school. And we are very excited to have this now, and we really appreciate and support this decision. Thank you so much for the board and everyone who work on getting this done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming tonight and making comments. We'll go down to Hagar. You've got the floor. And it looks like your microphone is muted. So we will try Russell.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, this is Hajir. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi, how are you guys? Thank you guys for, working so hard on this idea. I really appreciate that. And I wish you guys good luck. I am just here to let you know that I guys agree with the idea that you got adding Arabic language at the schools is really gonna help our kids. And just thank you so much for all the hard work you guys are doing. So thank you so much. I'm just here to support you guys. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And then it looks like our final community commenter this evening will be Russell.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi, this is Russell. I'm from Iraq. I thank you very much for your for your adding the Arabic language. I highly support that idea for adding the Arabic language for our kids. Actually, it is very beneficial for us. Especially we have kids that born here and they can't speak Arabic, so we really appreciate for your work and the whole team, and thank you very much.
Thank you for coming to speak to us tonight. And we've got one last commenter, Nahia Bukhara.
Yes. Hi, my name is Nahia Bukhari. Thank you to all for this opportunity, and I am here tonight to support the idea of introducing Arabic to Iowa School District. And I really appreciate, since our kids, most of them, they are able to speak, but the main reason for us to support is they don't know how to read and write Arabic. And this is very good idea, and thank you for supporting, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I want to thank everyone who's come and spoken to us tonight. Looks, well, we've got one more. Ahmed, I'm going to let you be the last commenter this evening. We do have an hour reserved at the beginning of our meetings for community comment, and so let's see if we can get this last comment in.
Hi, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much for this chance. I very glad, or I very strongly agree with this idea, or because our children, they facing difficulty to communicate with us. Sometimes I can understand us, understand him. Then I am very glad this is help our kids. Thank you so much. I agree with this idea. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming and commenting this evening. So we've got two others who have raised their hands, Badria and Nihal, and we'll take those two comments, and then I believe Mazahir would like to make a comment too. So with Badria, Nihal, and then Mazahir will conclude community comments. So Nihal or Badria, please.
Oh, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, my name is Bedri Abdurrasul, and I really want our kids to be taught Arabic. I agree, and I really appreciate all the help you guys offer.
Thank you very much for commenting this evening. Nihal?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm here today to totally support the idea of entering Arabic language to the school, and it will be very good for our Arab children. Thank you very much, and stay safe.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your comments tonight. And then Mazahir.
Okay, hi, you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for your hard work. And I just want to just comment at the end because I would like to just tell you that there is a lot of demand of people would like to have like Arabic, to be taught at the school district as a second language, as elective. And I think this demand is not like just come up today or we've been doing this forever. I guess each time there is election for a school board, all the Sudanese community and the people who speak Arabic, they will go to that forum. So they ask all the candidates if they are supporting the Arabic language to be as elective, and all of them will say yes. And but after that, nothing will happen. And I think it is time. I know that there is challenge on financially. I know that you cut budget for you have been cutting budget for language as elective. I know that you used to have French and I guess it was Germany or something like that. You don't have it anymore. But I understand all this. But if you look at the community, and you're gonna see that there is many families right now entering their kids go to the Iowa City School District, and their parents they despair on the language. As some people just said, if the kids start understand, they will start communicating with their own parent. Kids cannot go to school and understand all this language, and they're not being taught like some kind of Arabic so they can navigate with their own parent. I hope you guys take this idea seriously, and financially, if that's the problem, let us know. We can figure it out together. And you know that the Center for Work and Justice will be like willing to campaign on this and put things together. And we have a lot to ask somebody else from the Arabic, from the Sudanese community comment that there is many teachers here. And also, I guess Asma, she is a teacher. And there is many people can help you out navigate this. And it will be really easy to implement. And there is some people, also another person said he can volunteer his time to do this. So please, if that is the only issue is the financial issue, we can figure out that. Yet please take this idea seriously and let us know how can we help. And thank you very much for all the hard work you've been doing. Thanks. And also, I just want to say the last thing that I really support the demand of Iowa Freedom of Rider. And please, look at their demand carefully and please implement all of them. This is important time to make change. And hopefully we will gonna see that change soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mazahir, and thanks to all the community commenters this evening. Really appreciate you coming and voicing your wishes and desires for the school board and our district. It really means a lot for us to hear from you. We have exceeded our time allotment for community comment tonight, and so I'm going to move into the rest of our agenda this evening. But just one last thank you for all the community members who came and joined us this evening. It really does mean a great deal for us to hear from you. So we'll move into our agenda tonight. And first up is agenda approval. Is there a motion to approve our June 23rd board meeting agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Ruthina and Sean, looks like Kim, we're ready to vote.
Online voting is open. All votes have been cast and the motion carries with all directors voting in favor.
Thank you. So consent agenda, any directors have comments or questions on our accounts payable?
I reviewed the bills and I sent my questions in.
Thanks, Ruthina. Anybody else on our bills this period?
I don't, Janet. I just wanted to ask real quick. Does the chat from community comment get entered into the minutes?
Oh, great question. Do we I think we can do that, can't we, Kim?
Boy, I'm not sure. I can sure look into it. Somebody told me it saves everything in the chat at the end, but I've never looked at it, so I'm not.
I know when we use Zoom at work, we often will archive or capture the chat comments. JP, I just don't personally know how to do it, but there has to be a way.
Yep, we can do that, and I will get the instructions to Kim here in a minute.
Awesome, thank you, Adam. Appreciate you stepping in there. So no other comments on the bills. We have a consent agenda. I think Sean, you were planning to pull item 13.
Yeah, I'd like to pull 13.
Any other items directors would like to pull for conversation? Okay, could I have a motion to approve our consent agenda without item 13?
I move we approve our consent agenda minus item 13.
Second.
Thank you, JP and Rufina. Any further discussion?
I just have one comment, Janet, before we vote. I sent some questions in about some of the items on the bill, and maybe it's a discussion that I can have with Matt, but I'd just like more information, maybe from Dwayne too, on, I know we use Iowa Prison for a lot of our furniture, and I'd just like to know a little bit more about that organization as a whole in the future.
Yeah, Paul, we were working on those questions this afternoon, and so we'll be able to turn those around to you tomorrow. And then if that's not sufficient, we can certainly talk about that some more too.
And I'm sorry, Janet. I probably should put my questions in the meeting for public record. So I did have a couple of questions regarding a couple of rentals for forklifts, and received the answer regarding that it was actually one forklift rental from the Hy-Vee warehouse to the Stevens warehouse and Chromebook cases. So I just wanted to make sure where those cases were going, and found out that it's for the expansion to our Elementary 101 program.
Oh, good. Great, thanks, Ruthina, for putting that out there for the record. Any comments or further conversation? We have a motion and a second for our consent agenda minus item 13. If there are no further comments, Kim, we're ready to vote.
Online voting is open. All votes have been cast and the motion carries with all directors voting in favor.
Thanks. Sean, item 13.
Yeah, I don't have a discussion, but I wanted to modify the motion, so I go ahead and make that modified motion. I move that we authorize continuing engagement of Encompass Resolution LLC for review of climate and culture at Lucas Elementary in an amount not to exceed $7,500. Okay.
So we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Kim, we're ready to vote.
Wait 2 seconds here. Online voting is open. All votes have been cast and the motion carries with directors Ressler, Godwin, Clausen, Malone, Eyestone, and Eastham voting yay and Director Williams voting nay.
Thank you. So next up is an item around an officer resignation, and that officer resignation is me. I have found these last few weeks that it's going to be impossible for me to do justice to school board president role given the new role that I've assumed at ACT. I feel extraordinarily strongly about the work of our school district. We have so many important matters in front of us. The topics on our agenda tonight, our Return to Learn plan, the social justice, Iowa Freedom Riders, demands of us, our equity agenda. There are just so many really urgent matters that require attention and time, and the commitment is there on my part, but I just am afraid I don't have time to do justice to the board president role. And so I will be respectfully submitting my resignation tonight. And with that, I believe we need to move into then the process of electing a new president. And so from a point of protocol, I believe what happens, Steve, is that the board meeting gets taken over by Janet Graff, our board secretary, who will lead us through the process for nominating and electing president.
That is correct, and Janet is online with us. Sorry about that, couldn't find my mute button here. So I will turn it over to Janet.
Good evening. As the Secretary of the Board of Education, I will preside over the election of school board president. Please remember, nominations are not motions, so no second is required for the director to be nominated. If you are nominated to office, please verbally respond if you are willing to accept that nomination. It would be appropriate for the director making a nomination to provide affirmative comments on why the nomination is being made once the nomination has been accepted. It would be inappropriate for other directors or the board as a whole to discuss or debate the merits of directors who have been placed in nomination. That is what the vote is for. The floor is now open to receive nominations for the office of school board president.
I nominate Sean Eystone.
I accept the nomination.
Are there any more? The floor is closed for nominations. We have in nomination Sean Eystone. We will proceed with the vote. The board of directors, please use the chat section of Zoom to send your vote for school board president. Votes will be read aloud and displayed on the screen.
Who do we send it to?
I think it's just in the chat.
Yeah, just put it in the chat and then I'll capture it. And
so those are public. Does it matter?
You can identify Kim in the to section there if you'd like to.
yeah, you can do that.
Sorry, I already put mine publicly.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I can see Ruthina's and Charlie's, but I can't see anybody else's.
Oh, Charlie was the one I was looking for.
Oh, nice. And I sent mine to Kim, Janet. That was
yeah, and no, that's fine. I got those, but I still don't see Charlie.
He sent it to me privately.
Gotcha. Okay, I will capture the rest and put him in a.
But aren't they made public? I mean, typically when we're in person, the vote is read aloud.
Right.
And it would put them on little pieces of paper typically, remember? And then they get read out. Yeah. No paper with Zoom.
And Janet will share it out loud. More hands.
I suppose technically, if somebody saw a public vote before they voted, they could make a decision based on that.
I think that's probably the reason, JP.
Janet, can you see those? Janet Graff, to read aloud.
Can you scroll up just a little bit?
Let me make it bigger. Sorry.
Okay. Ruthina Malone voted yes for Sean Eyestone. Lisa Williams voted yes for Sean Eyestone. JP Clausen voted yes for Sean Eyestone. Sean Eyestone said yes for himself. Janet Godwin said yes for Sean Eyestone, and Paul Raisler voted yes for Sean Eyestone. And Charlie Eastham voted yes for Eyestone.
Congratulations, Sean.
Director Eyestone has been duly elected to the office of School Board President. I will now administer the oath of office upon the President. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the School Board President in the Iowa City Community School District, Iowa City, Iowa, as now and hereafter required by law? Respond by saying, I will.
I will.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yay.
We will use the same process for the school board vice president vote. Please remember, nominations are not motions, so no second is required for the director to be nominated. If you are nominated to office, please verbally respond if you're willing to accept that nomination. The floor is now open to receive nominations for the office of school board vice president.
I nominate
Charlie.
Malone.
Okay. Everybody jumped.
Ruthina, I think, is what everybody said.
Okay.
I accept.
The floor is closed for nominations. We have a nomination of Ruthina Malone. We will proceed with the vote. Board of Directors, please use the chat section of Zoom to send your vote for School Board Vice President to Kim. Votes will be read aloud and displayed on the screen. I have Paul and Janet sent me their messages, Kim, if you're looking for some.
I was. All right, I'm going to share this screen.
Okay, Sean Eyestone voted yes for Ruthina Malone. Ruthina Malone voted yes for herself. JP Clausen voted yes for Ruthina Malone. Lisa Williams voted yes for Ruthina Malone. Janet Godwin voted yes for Ruthina Malone, and Charlie Eastham voted yes for Ruthina Malone. Director Malone has been duly elected to the office of School Board Vice President. I now administer the oath of office upon the Vice President. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the School Board Vice President in the Iowa City Community School District, Iowa City, Iowa, as now or hereafter required by law? Respond by saying, I will.
I will.
Congratulations. The new officers will now assume their elected duties. And my cat just meowed at you.
Oh, that means I got to go to work now. Well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate that. We do have a lot of work to do, so let's get right into it. Our next thing up is just an update from policy and governance, as we're just fighting to get to the end. Ruthina, would you want to give an update on it?
Sure. as Sean said, we're at the end reviewing the 600 series. My hope is that on the July 7th, I think that's the date, our next meeting, we can conquer that. So then we will then go back through everything to make sure that all of the recommended edits have been included. So that way we can alert the rest of the board to review all of the series in hopes that we can present it at a full board meeting to be voted on. My hope is still before the start of school. So I think it's looking more likely that we can get that accomplished.
So Ruthina, this is Charlie. We received correspondence recently from someone about suggestions and recommendations for the 600 series. I wonder if the committees will have a chance to look at those recommendations.
Those at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Anything else on that? All right, well, let's move on to the discussions. We got a lot to hit here. First up is the Return to Learn update. So I will let admin take over there.
Thanks, Sean. I think we'll try to be brief on this item tonight because we probably, I'll just let the cat out of the bag in agenda setting, would like to have a special meeting next Tuesday to really talk about Return to Learn planning and some of the options that you guys see that were surrounded in the parent feedback and in the staff feedback portion. And so the idea would be to walk you through some of the modeling that we've done inside internally for some of those options, and to look at some more in-depth plans that we would have for the fall surrounding the three models that we've talked to you about, with the on-site delivery model, the at-home learning model, and then what our hybrid potential solution could be, and to try to, like I said, just kind of walk you through what some of those options that we've considered have looked like and what some of the options that are still on the table look like. So that's the first point that I wanted to draw your attention to. The second one is the content loaded on the agenda item around the survey that I referenced. The first two slides on that survey, or excuse me, on that PowerPoint include, kind of back to Director Williams' point last week, about a two-pager kind of quick overview about who's been working on these plans, and that's up on the district website. And so if you click on that item there, you can see how we've broken down the different teams and the individuals involved in those teams, and then also the 7 components of the work that we've talked to you guys about here in an almost weekly fashion every other week here lately, around leadership, infrastructure, health, safety, academic standards, social, emotional, behavior, health, equity, and data. And then as the presentation goes through, it transitions away from that overview, that 2-page overview doc, into really that community survey results. Maybe a couple highlights. We did get a really high rate of return on the survey. If you look at the participation by parents and the participation by employees, that is a really good marker for us. And so we have some statistically significant results, we think, that have helped inform some of our thinking and some of our decisions. It goes through things about comfort level with parents and also with staff, about things that could increase their comfort level about returning to school. Talks about the learning models, the hybrid that, like I said, we wanted to talk to you about further next week. And again, concerns, things they're worried about. And then also a review of what that at-home learning component looked like at this spring, around satisfaction with some of those components from parents and staff. And so that was a marker for us as we looked at some of those continuous learning plans for an at-home model, about things we would need to improve or where the satisfaction level was. And so obviously with survey, we've heard a lot about diversifying our communication methods. You see some of the ways we tried to push out that survey in multiple venues to get that high rate of response, but we've also been engaged in some circle opportunities with the community for another form of feedback. And Laura Gray's been leading that work for us from the equity lens. And we also think we'll have a report that we can pull together that summarizes some of that feedback when we get to that meeting next week as well. So we wanted you guys to have some time to digest that and look through it. It's obviously informing our work as we plug along in each of those 7 areas. But the idea would really be to come and have a meeting next week just to focus on the planning in each of those 7 areas and then some of the modeling like I talked about before. So with that, I think we'd take any specific questions you might have tonight, but in agenda setting, again, we'll be requesting that meeting to take place next week. So sorry to ruin your 5th Tuesday of the month. But obviously I think we all understand the urgency of the importance around this topic too.
I'd throw it out there if anybody has anything they want answered today, or at least to think about ahead of next week, if we're going to be able to have that meeting. So whatever we got.
I don't have a question. I did just want to say thank you for the PowerPoint, especially those first 2 pages. I'm sure it was a team effort putting it together, but that is exactly what I had kind of had in my mind when we talked about it at the last meeting. And I think it does a great job of capturing for the public, like the tremendous amount of work that is going on behind the scenes for the district. So I would encourage everyone who hasn't looked at it, of our attendees and the public, to go look at it and see what the school district is doing to prepare to return to learn, because it is really impressive work. So thank you for doing that. And I'll say that the survey itself too, the way it's presented is great. I think this is one of the best PowerPoints I've seen as a board member. So thank you for that.
And thanks for saying that, Lisa. I think one of our unsung heroes sometimes is really Kristen, and so she deserves a big shout out on that PowerPoint, the survey, putting together the 2-pagers. She really did a phenomenal job pulling that together for us. So want to make sure to say thank you to her and all her work on that effort.
Just a quick question for you, Matt. I said at the last meeting, the return to learn plan is focusing on the return to the classrooms, but we've had some return to athletics. Can you just give us an update on how that's been going for this first full week?
Yeah, so we've been participating in baseball and softball, as you're aware, over the last couple weeks with games starting up here. And, you know, there's been some bumps. We've had some positive tests, and we've actually had some teams that have had to suspend their season for a period of time. So we continue to work through that and work with our health department as we go through that if we get a positive case, then asking our student athletes and staff to self-quarantine for a period of time, and then look at trying to resume that season so that we don't continue to spread the virus. If that does happen, we've seen that happen in other parts of the state as well with teams, none of the varsity level teams at this point. But we have had that occur. And so I think we're being as responsible as we can and pulling those kids off the field when it makes sense. Exposure or contact in that situation. Obviously, we need to have a conversation about how that applies to the fall as well, right? Because if we're on site, we have some exposure, then we're trying to work through some of those health metrics about when would make sense to close a school campus, when it would make sense to maybe have to pull back the district. And so that's part of what we would discuss with you guys ideally next week too, is what are those metrics we'll use. We've been talking internally, like you guys think about snow days, and we kind of have graphics and metrics around that to know when we make those decisions. And so we want to try to be as consistent as possible and rely on our health department for what those measures might be. Part of that is trying to get a hold of that information and make sure we have that, and we can make good decisions based on it. But I would say that's a quick update. Chase, you've been involved heavily here recently on the athletics and operations end of that component. So is there anything else you'd want to add on that?
I think the only thing would be that we know that the guidance from the state is changing weekly in all areas, including athletics. And so they're lifting restrictions on participation in different activities beyond sports for summer. And so, as Matt said, we continue to have ongoing dialogue with our ADs and our secondary administrators about what that might look like in July. We're not ready to make any definitive statements about anything else that would be open athletic-wise in July. The state said they're going to release guidance on the use of weight rooms before July 1. And so we're really waiting to see what that looks like as we look at pre or off-season training for athletes the rest of the summer. And as Matt said, using this is trying to figure out what it's going to look like when we bring potentially students back to campus or get back into the swing of the school year.
I think along with sports, we need to keep in mind other groups that come back before school starts, right? Like marching band and whatever other groups that start their stuff.
And you're absolutely right, Sean. That's part of that conversation. Scott Kibbe is helping us lead some of that work and reaching out to different program and co-curricular and extracurricular activity directors as we look at what camps we can operate, how we can safely operate those camps in our school buildings, what type of limitations we have to put in place. So yes, very well said. We're not forgetting those. We had a meeting that was almost exclusively about some of those activities earlier this week. And again, hopefully going to release some guidance in the near future about what that will look like.
And then one final question, maybe for Chase. Since school's been out officially, can you give us any kind of update on how the lunches have been going now that we're into the summer?
Sure. Our numbers have been down a little bit. I apologize. I can come back to that later in the meeting. We've continued to serve every day. We've had a great response from staff that have wanted to participate in handing out lunches. And so that's been nice to see some other folks involved out seeing our families. But last Allison told me, I think we're down by about a third, averaging more in the 2,000 to 2,500 lunches a day. And so that's not surprising. I know that it's a different time given that we are in the midst of a pandemic, but we're running a program similar to what we ran in past years, and those numbers have been about 500 a day. So we're still running 4 to 5 times more than we normally do. It's not just those 3,500 daily numbers that we were seeing in May when school was still technically in session. But let me do a little digging, Paul, and before the end of the meeting, I'll come back because I want to make sure that I give you the right numbers.
I think Amy had one other component to touch on about some piece ramping up here.
Yeah, so I would just mention that we are attempting to stand up some of our before and after school programs. And earlier in the month, we had our coordinators send out a survey to our BASP directors to see if they would have interest if we were able to pull it off to open up beginning July 6th. And so we've are issuing them some guidance right now, and we've got about 5 of our buildings that are interested to see if they could get the enrollment that they would require to open up. So that's another way that we're dipping our toe into this water and putting some protocols in place. And those protocols may or may not look the same for the fall, but that's something that we'll be doing in the next 2 weeks as well.
All right. Any other thoughts ahead of trying to have a meeting next week? I would
John, the other thing I'd say too is if you guys want to email us, things that are front of mind, we can do our best to answer those next week too. If there's not something you're necessarily thinking about here tonight. So just let us know. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, I was just going to throw out a comment really on, looking at the survey results. I think it kind of encompasses what we're all feeling. Like if you just look at the raw numbers, a little over 50% feel comfortable with going back, but it's somewhere around like 75 or 80% want everybody to go back, right? Like, I mean, there's the want to do it, but a very real concern of making sure we're, covering all of our bases, and, and those are listed on there in the survey results too, what all things will make people get that comfort level back up to the, to match the number of the want, right? So it's kind of what we're all feeling, that we want to have school in person, but there's a lot of hurdles, and you guys are doing a lot of hard work to try and get over those hurdles. So I really appreciate that. If there's no more, go ahead.
Sorry, Sean. I'd just like to comment too, Matt and the staff, that the return to learn focus groups, I think there were 4 of them. I think there's a really good, solid idea trying to get some notions about what parents are seeing. I don't know if cannot remember if the dates are for those groups are going to give us results before next week or not.
We should be able to have those results before next week. The last one was yesterday. So Laura will work with her team to get those pulled together. And so thanks for that, Charlie. Credit to Laura there about thinking of that and then making sure those got pulled off. So thank you. Yeah, we'll have some kind of a summary, if not even something to you via email before then, but for sure we'll be able to talk through them on Tuesday.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, I briefly joined yesterday's group, which was the least targeted. It was kind of open for all parents. Some of the other ones were very targeted, and I got yanked away back to my paying job. But when I was on there, there was roughly 160 people on there participating. So they hit a good number of folks, at least in that one. I think some of the other ones were smaller intentionally, but I think we'll have a lot of good response there.
Sean, just to circle back to Paul's question, those numbers were right, Paul. We're averaging between 21 and 21 and 2,300 meals a day is where we are, kind of in that area.
All right, I think we'll move on to the equity response discussion. Before I kind of turn it over, just kind of want to give a little bit of context here, right? We did have a few members, board members meet with Iowa Freedom Riders, some of the leadership team there, and got to have kind of a, in-person discussion on their list of demands. We also got a pretty lengthy report from the equity committee of things that we can address in our comprehensive diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. And then we also have a document on the board docs there from the district of things that are in works or are coming. And there's a fair amount of alignment between all three, but not complete alignment. And I think that it's good to see that we're making progress. I just wanted to add my takeaway from the meeting last week with the Iowa Freedom Riders. The demands are not anything that are outrageous demands, right? It's all about trying to, make things better. And I will tell you, I personally, still have a lot to learn, but just what I did learn last week is it's really easy to back into that defensive position of, but these things are really hard to do, or don't you know that there's this whole process to get there? So how do we get going? And one of the things that I've personally struggled with, in my now 2.5 years on the board is there's a lot of great things we want to do, but it's so big, it's hard to figure out places to just start. And we now have from a couple different sources now, but if you look at all these documents, real tangible places to start in a lot of different areas, things we can actually do to start to take action. And so instead of trying to figure out, this is way too hard, let's not even try it. Let's figure out how we can make it happen. What are the steps we have to take to get some of these hard things done, I think is what we really need to do to take action. I'm not sure the best way to proceed on this item itself, because we do have the 3 different pieces on there. Matt, I don't know if you were planning to lead off with some of the district response stuff, or I kind of take some, guidance from everybody here as to how they want to proceed best.
Oh, sorry. Before we proceed with Matt, I just wanted to say I was at that meeting too, and just to, I agree with everything that Sean said, but I want to add that it's not only to make things better in the district, but more importantly, it's to make things fair and more equitable. There was and continue to be systematic racism that our children of color are facing. And I don't think anybody on this call will deny that. And I'm excited to see some of the hard equity steps that our district have put together, as well as our equity committee. And I'm happy to start the conversation tonight, but I, for one, when we get to agenda setting, would like to see our next meeting kept a little bit on a lighter side, so we can have an in-depth work session with all of the parties at the table, because I think that's one way for us to start to continue to make progress. As Sean mentioned, there's alignment. and a lot of the 3 documents that we see. And I think that if we work together, we can get to a place where all of our kids will feel safe and happy being in our district, and will walk away knowing that they have a community full of everyone totally 100% behind them.
I'll just make a real quick comment too, because I was also at that meeting. But just to echo what Sean and Ruthina said, it really is about justice. And I think, we look at a lot of data. We have our culture and climate survey, but I know as a board member, kind of removed from the classroom and removed from the schools, it's really powerful to hear the stories behind those data. And it just kind of reinforces the urgency that we need to continue doing this steady work, and also be mindful that I believe we want it to be visible. I think we know that some of these systemic changes will take a while, but I'm hopeful that our kids and our community will have very, some real clear symbols and indicators that we are doing the work, so that we can highlight that and keep our shoulder to the grindstone.
So the one thing I guess I'd say or throw out, you guys have seen the documents up on board docs there, so I don't need to walk you all through the 10 action steps we had proposed or suggested based off that conversation with the Freedom Riders. But we didn't get the equity committee letter until a little bit later. So what we could work to do in kind of light of Sean's words, the alignment piece is trying to bring some alignment between the 3 and continue to work on our action step document and have that ready for a work session conversation too. I'm not sure we're going to get 100% alignment, but I would like to also get the topics aligned, essentially, that we have a alignment on that all of the topics that are stated that needs worked on and needs addressed, that there is work identified that will happen with those. And then I think it's just to the conversation about to what level of alignment is the board wanting to commit to with the demands and with the letter from the equity committee about their proposed actions. But we'd be happy to take those suggested action steps, the 10 items that are listed there, and kind of infuse some of those thoughts and ideas from the equity committee in a more comprehensive fashion too, and see what kind of alignment we can get. I do think it's important for us to link it to our diversity, equity, and inclusion plan where stated, because I think that also helps drive the priority work in that diversity, equity, and inclusion plan about which goals we're starting on and which ones need to have urgency. I mean, that was what I tried to also communicate in the document there a little bit from the team, is that that some of these need to have urgent priority. Some of them, like JP said, may take some longer work, but what are we going to commit to doing, and how are we going to take actions that show the commitment to that? So that would be one thing I could suggest that we could do. And then I'd also, I guess, want to know if there's anything we put from a suggested action step that's just off the table, or one that needs some more conversation to continue to make it on the list.
I can say that I personally look forward to the meeting with the Freedom Riders as a board, since I was not involved in the first meeting. It'll be great to be able to hear firsthand from them as well, and be able to have that back and forth conversation. This topic for me is very urgent. And the reason that I say that is I was on the board in 2016, was my first year. And in November 22nd was the meeting. It was shortly after the last presidential election. And if you all recall, at that time, we were having issues in our district with racially motivated, I'm struggling to find the right word, but basically kids were bullying other kids based on what happened with the election. And I would strongly suggest to all the board members that they go back and listen to Director Latasha DeLoach's comments from that meeting. Again, it was November 22nd, 2016, but I listened to those again last week. And then I messaged Director DeLoach and told her that I was very disappointed in myself because what she had said in those meetings, she had said she had graduated from City High in this district. And here she was all this time later on the board, and she was still seeing the same issues when she was a student as now a parent. That was, excuse me, almost 4 years ago now, and I'm still seeing the same things happening in our district. So for me personally, this is something that we do need to take action on. So I'm hopeful that once we have all of our meetings taking place, that we are able to take concrete steps and actions to move forward. So I just wanted to put that out there before we moved ahead.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate those comments quite a bit. I would ask, procedurally, I think we're all interested in having a work session with some of the Iowa Freedom Riders, and I'm wondering, we're trying to get some alignment with them and our response and our equity committee. Do we have, or can we have a large meeting with both groups? Do we want separate meetings? Does anybody have an appetite for trying to accomplish them separately or together? Just throwing that out there.
Paul, I really appreciate your perspective there. Sean, I wonder if we could, if we might do this in maybe a thirds or fourths or something like that. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of work in these 10 or so distinct items. So, don't everybody hate me because I'm suggesting 3 or 4 more meetings, but that's kind of where I think this might be going. Either in smaller groups, maybe 3 or 4 small groups working at the same time, or listening to the Freedom Riders and see what their approach might be.
Sean, the vehicle to talk to the equity committee, right? I mean, they have their meetings. We have a board representative on there. We have administrative representatives on there. We can take, their them into some action steps and continue that dialogue with them in between, those meetings. Certainly if they, if you guys want to create the opportunity or if that's what they're asking for, we can account for that for space in a meeting somewhere. But I'm thinking when you were talking about how to kind of take this work on, that if you wanted to have the work session, listen to the Freedom Riders and try to consider how we brought alignment to those documents. And then we could follow up with revisiting that conversation with the equity committee following that. Our team could do that along with the board representation on that committee. And then again, it could come back to a board meeting from there, but trying to think about how to be able to have an effective conversation, and using maybe an existing meeting we already have in place, that would be an idea for doing that, if that makes sense, if I explain that the way I was thinking about it.
I agree with what Matt just said. I think at the next meeting, we sit down with Iowa Freedom Riders. I'm sorry, I'm guessing people can't hear me. I see Lisa leaning forward. But that would be my hope, that we sit down with them and have that full board conversation with the Iowa Freedom Riders. Oh my God, I can't talk tonight. Since we have had extensive dialogue with the equity committee, I think giving them the space to have an open conversation with us is warranted at this point.
I would echo what Ruthina said, and I just want to touch on one thing that Charlie said. I'm mad, Charlie, that you suggested extra meetings. I think they're warranted. I am hesitant about us splitting into smaller groups. I really think that we as a board need to be in the same room together for this work. And when we start to section off into small committee work, the risk of not being present for the original conversation, I think that's hard to catch up to. And so I just wanted, I'm here, I'm committed to the work. I'm happy to meet 6, 8, 10 times, however many meetings we need to have, but I would like to do it as an entire board.
In rethinking, Lisa, I think I agree with you. And I remember my organizing work in other areas over the last couple, 3 years. I think you're right.
I would throw out
Well,
there that-
Laura commented that, you know, the Equity Advisory Committee would probably be palatable to them to let the Freedom Riders go first. So if you wanted to have that whole conversation, then maybe it's 2 work sessions in that realm. And so the first one's with the Freedom Riders, and then the second one is some representatives from the Equity Committee. I don't know if you'd want to invite them all, or how that conversation would go, or if you'd want to have some representatives there, but we could work through that. But I hear what Lisa and Charlie were saying too. I was just thinking if we had a meeting, you know, that it was already standing with them about taking that back. But if we want to invite them to a work session, I'm sure we'd get participation on that end. So you could think about those 2 work session chunks, and then maybe we'd have a product from the 2 of those that we can bring and say we're committing to, you know, as a district after both those conversations.
Yeah, and this is Janet. I think just so that we make sure to schedule enough time. I completely agree with the comments of everyone so far in terms of starting with the IFR and the full board, having that conversation. I think then having a work session with the Equity Committee and making sure that we're sort of cross-referencing and aligning. I actually think the board we might also need to consider a third work session in terms of finalizing if we're putting a resolution together. There may be language we need to work, and I just want to make sure that we give ourselves enough time, and dedicate those work sessions to be thoughtful, but to be methodical, to make sure we've got enough time to do good work in a sort of urgent, timely way. But I think we may actually need a third work session, and just put it out there as maybe we should try to just make sure that we carve out enough time to move forward to get to that work product that you mentioned, Matt.
Yeah, I totally agree. To give IFR just kind of the whole time to kind of for the board to hear them. I think it'd be helpful if some members of the Equity Committee were, you know, listening in on that, so that they would get a firsthand, you know, knowledge about their concerns, and then lead to that second meeting. And then I'd say, you know, what you guys come up with as you take the information from those 2 work sessions and infuse it into a document, and then maybe we've got something super awesome, and maybe we need a work session to rework some of that and put input on it. But maybe we could handle that in discussion at a board meeting too, maybe.
So I would say, you know, I think we're going to use our comprehensive diversity, equity, and inclusion plan as our guiding light, right? And I think the Equity Committee had some real great, you know, tangible things to put in there, very specific things to help things. And, you know, kind of working backwards, meeting with the Iowa Freedom Riders as a whole board will help inform us, you know, what are things that they're still wanting to see there as tangible things that we can put in there, follow that up with the Equity Committee and how they've already done some of that work, but push it a little bit farther, and then get it all built into that document, or in addition to perhaps a separate resolution, but to get it all in there in the words that are going to be meaningful for all of the community, as well as, you know, something, you know, as a board and a district we can get behind and take action on. So I think you're all right that we do it, meet first with the Iowa Freedom Riders, and then get some input with the Equity Committee, and then perhaps there is the third one where we gather it all together and put it into something. I do appreciate the fact that Matt, you know, sent us the equity response. I'm sure the whole team had a lot of input on there of the things that the district's already doing, and I appreciate the responsiveness that everyone here has shown. So I think we're on the right path, and it's going to feel tremendously slow. And so, you know, we are going to get to agenda setting, and I think we're just going to have to start having, you know, we were having meetings every Tuesday anyway up to this point, so I don't see any reason why we wouldn't keep on doing that to get this work done. I think it's very important that we get to some completed action steps before school starts in the fall. I think that was kind of the the message I heard loud and clear that we can't start another school year in the status quo, right? Things have to change before school starts. So, well, we have summer to do that. So I think the meetings are going to be well worth the effort that we're going to put into it. Somebody else want to add on? All right, so it's not agenda setting, but are we looking to potentially have one as early as next week when we're also trying to have a special meeting? Or Matt, do you have a sense of how long the return to learn plan stuff will take? Would we be able to have a work session along with that or not?
Well, I mean, my general sense is I think we just need a night committed to that just to return to learn, because I felt like we didn't spend a tremendous amount of time on that, but I also am trying to respect the urgent nature of this other one. And so general preference would be probably just to focus on return to learn. But if that's the date that we also need to try to build in a work session, I mean, we could certainly make that work in that sense. I think it's probably also trying to schedule it with the Freedom Riders, right, about what kind of turnaround they need. And if they could be there on Tuesday, my guess is they would probably make it work in that sense. But we could think about starting one at 5 and then putting, kind of a time limit on it and knowing when we're going to need to start the other conversation too, if it was going to be a listening opportunity.
Right.
Hey, Sean, just quick question. Since it looks like Kiki's still in the meeting, could we not bring her back in for this part of the discussion just to ask about time, if that time works for them, or if she can give us an idea if that works for them?
I think we can invite her to respond at least to availability. Is that possible, Kim?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I want to reiterate the thank you for the consideration of looking through these demands and the seriousness and severity you guys are putting to it. That means a lot to the IFR, and just to make sure you guys know that we are very grateful for that. In regards to availability into a meeting, I agree that we as an IFR, the organizers in the coalition definitely would like to meet with the entire board so that we can clear these gaps that could be being left behind in discussion due to small groups coming together and then relaying the message later, just in case anything gets slipped up, and to have the open dialogue like you guys were discussing earlier. As for availability, I cannot speak for IFR as a whole on availability. I can speak for myself and say, yes, I'm available Tuesday, but I am unable to say everything that I know the IFR wants to address. I know for a fact there are 2 other IFR organizers that are very much taking the education school board demands head on, and that is where they've been diving deeper. It's just I'm the one with the more availability, so I've been going to most of the meetings besides the one on the 15th, June 15th. So I definitely would like to, whatever decisions you guys are able to find within this availability of trying to schedule this meeting, I would like to be able to propose that to them. I also, and I think you guys understand, within us constructing these demands and verifying and getting understanding, we are in lieu with teachers as well who are part of our coalition, just more of like in the knowledge and in like what we'd like to say, oh no, and then it all just left me all in a flash. I'm so sorry. The ground team, the people who are like the first responders who are in action. So we have like some teachers and some other people who are giving us feedback, helping us understand certain language, understand why certain policies are here too. If they're able to sit in with IFR as well for this meeting where we come together as one whole group to discuss it, if that's available, I would love to offer that as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming back on to let us know that, because the last thing I would hate for us to do is schedule this meeting on Tuesday and then not have you guys be available. So I mean, like, if Tuesday's not going to be the day that works, like I want to find the day that works. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to talk. Yeah, I don't want to talk at you guys. I want to talk with you guys. So whatever works for you, that's what's going to work for us.
And I appreciate that, and I completely understand that, and it's completely reasonable, and I thank you for giving us that opportunity. It's just a matter of I won't be able to answer that exactly now. I could try to contact as many people within tonight, because we have an email chain, and try to get responses, tell them that they have a deadline to respond, and hope that we can get a concrete answer by tomorrow evening to then be able to pass it on to you guys. But I am unable to answer that exactly at this moment.
Oh, yeah, and I wasn't expecting an answer. I just wanted you to be included in the conversation. Whatever you guys end up deciding, you have Ruthina and Sean as they're the leaders of this group right now. Just get with them and let them know. Us as a board, we need to have at least 24 hours before we have a meeting. So whatever you come up with, that works for us. I didn't want to have to schedule a meeting, like I said, and then not have you guys be available and then have to change things around. I'd rather just have it figured out. So if we keep talking like we were just now, I'd rather figure it out with you guys and then decide the rest of that.
Perfection. Thank you.
So Kiki, maybe if you follow up with Sean, Ruthina, and myself, and then we can work with the other board members to get a date set. Does that sound reasonable to folks on that end? And that gives you a point of contact for us, and then we can work to pull together a meeting based on your availability with the group.
Yes, that sounds reasonable if you guys are okay with that as well. If possible, I am willing and able to drop my email in the chat just so that we can make sure that is the correct email.
That's very helpful, Kiki.
Perfect. That'd be good. Then I'll shoot you an email right back so you have it.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
All right. Anything more on this topic? I mean, there's tons on this topic, but I think we do need to make sure that we're getting the clarity. I appreciate the thought of, everybody, all the board members kind of hearing the stories for themselves, so there isn't lost in translation kind of thing, as we've, a few of us have heard some things and other people have heard other things. I think that it will be very good for all of us to meet together. So and doing that as soon as we can. If it's not next Tuesday, that's fine, right? We'll find a date that works, but I think sooner than later, I think, is what everybody's goal is. So if we just find a couple options and throw it out there and get as many people there as possible, I think the question of, who all would be there, they do have some teachers and other community members that are part of their group. I think it's, in my opinion anyway, it's, how many people feel comfortable coming, and whoever they want to bring for that discussion to help further it is fine by me. I don't know if there's any real problem with that with anybody else. Would we put a limit on it at all? Nobody's saying yes, so I'm going to say no, we're not putting a limit on it.
Yeah, I think Zoom makes it, it makes large meetings a lot more manageable.
I think so too.
All right.
Can I add something here before we move on topics?
Yep, go ahead.
I didn't really know. I just wanted to throw this out. I think this is the best place to put it. I know we're meeting next week, so it's less anyway. But I've been doing a lot of thinking about what I can do, and I came across on Dr. Eddie Moore's website that he has a 21-day racial equity habit building challenge. And I thought that was perfect because our next regularly scheduled meeting is in 21 days from today. And so I know I'm going to challenge myself to do the 21-day challenge. It looks really interesting. There's lots of ways to participate, reading, listening, watching, noticing, connecting, and you can journal a little bit about it. And so I just wanted to invite my fellow board members and anyone else on the admin team or the school who wanted to do the challenge to check it out and do it. It seems like it'll be a good tool for us to have in the toolbox.
Thanks for that, Lisa. That's a website that you can get to it?
Yeah, if you just go to Dr. Eddie Moore's website, which is eddiemooreJr.com, He has a link on the upper right-hand side that says 21-day plans, and he's got 3 different ones, but the one that I'm talking about is the Racial Equity Habit Building Challenge. And he links to all the stuff you need to complete the challenge. He compares it to, you do a lifestyle challenge of no sugar for 21 days or no carbs, but this is like, let's challenge ourselves to be more proficient at equity.
All right. Any last thoughts before we move on? We got a lot coming up in future meetings for this. All right. Thank everybody for their comments, and thanks Kiki for coming back on and working with us. And we look forward to meeting with the group. So let's move on into our action items. The first up is the Superintendent Directions 3J6. This is the change to the kindergarten levels. I don't know if there's any thoughts on it or if we've covered it enough.
I just like that you changed the numbers like I suggested last week. I think that makes more sense.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the superintendent directions.
Second.
All right, any comments? All right, Kim, ready to vote? That's the first time I got to say that.
Online voting is open. All votes have been cast and the motion carries with all directors voting in favor.
All right, moving on to the next one. This is a negotiated agreement for physical plant employees. If there's any comments? All right, entertain a motion.
I move we approve the negotiated agreement for physical plant employees.
Second.
Any further comments? All right, Kim, ready to vote?
Online voting is open. All votes have been cast and the motion carries with all directors voting in favor.
All right, now the negotiated agreement for nutrition services employees. I'd entertain a motion for that one.
I move that we approve the negotiated agreement for nutrition services employees.
Okay. Ooh, that was close. I'll give it to Charlie. Any comments? All right, Kim?
Online voting is open. All votes have been cast and the motion carries with all directors voting in favor.
And our last agreement for the school year secretaries, I would entertain a motion for that one.
I move that we approve the agreement for school secretaries.
Second.
All right, any further comments?
Sean, just one. I wasn't going to make, if you don't mind, I wasn't going to make them for all 3, but just like 2 weeks ago when we did it with ICEA, I'd like to just express my sincere appreciation for SEIU's collaboration. This is our other main bargaining unit for employees in the school system. Our school year secretaries, which we're about to vote on, along with our nutrition services and our physical plant employees, which you already voted on and approved, which we do appreciate. Just want to say a big thank you to SEIU, but again, to all these employees that work in our operations umbrella and their countless hours of dedication and support and service they provide to students in their various positions throughout the district. And we just appreciate SEIU's collaboration, and we appreciate the board's support of these employees. So thank you for your consideration this evening.
All right, thanks, Jason. I'd give my thanks to the admin team that all worked on it, and as well to my co-board members that spent time on those teams, because I know a handful of you took part in different ones, so I appreciate that. But Kim, I think we're ready to vote on that one.
Sean, can I just make one brief comment? Again, appreciate admin team, appreciate all of our groups. This is how we say thank you the best to our employees, is through these negotiated agreements. And I want to kind of affirm our commitment to, or my commitment as a board member, and appreciate the work everybody did this year to get these agreements a lot closer to looking like our teacher agreements. And I think the more work we can do to keep all of our employees on a level playing field, the better. So.
Online voting is open. All votes have been cast and the motion carries with all directors voting in favor.
All right. We talked a lot about all the things we were going to do in agenda setting, and now we're here. So as Matt mentioned, there's a request to add a special meeting on the Return to Learn plan. And we are also trying to get in some other work sessions. I don't know if now is the time to really hammer out dates for other things we're adding.
Sean,
yes,
there's
go
a
ahead.
PG meeting after the Return to Learn. It's not
Right.
on there.
Right,
But-
on the 7th, right?
Yes, on the 7th. But before we get too far along, and this may not be the right place to do it, but things moved so fast earlier that I didn't get a chance to say it, but I wanted to thank Janet for her 2.5 years of service as board president. I know she took the role very serious and gave a lot to it, even when times were crazy and hectic. So I do appreciate everything that she has done in that leadership role and her insight in knowing when she can't continue to give 100% to that role. So Janet, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Ruthine. I appreciate that.
And I would certainly second that too, Janet. And I'm sorry ACT is being so mean to you, but
I'm gonna go sick you on the ACT people, Charlie. Right on.
right, okay. And I'm also looking very much to Sean and Ruthina's leadership too.
Those are big shoes to fill. So I hope I will make it worthwhile.
Sean, when we're
Go ahead,
talking
Charlie.
about agenda setting, is this an opportune time to talk about their, or say something about the request we received tonight for adding Arabic language studies to our curriculum? I hope there's some place we can have some response to the many voices we heard this evening.
I would assume it's a little late for next year. So, I mean, it's a topic that we could probably discuss, but we might need to move it down just a little bit so we can address the more immediate needs, because we wouldn't be able to bring it in next year.
Sure, right.
Yep. I made a note of it, so we'll find a place to slot that in a little bit farther down the road once we get through some pretty immediate things we need to do. So I got from Matt that it sounds like next Tuesday would be best to just have the one topic. And I know everybody's wanting to make sure we're having a pretty good pace on everything. So I want to make sure, is everybody okay with leaving the 30th to just be a Return to Learn special meeting? Because there is a lot going on there.
I'm good with that.
Knowing that potentially we could have a meeting outside of a Tuesday with the Iowa Freedom Riders, because what was presented to Kiki, I think tonight was, we would look at their availability and try and get something scheduled. So.
Right, and I'm in favor of looking at whatever date works. I was just wondering if we wanted to take next Tuesday off the table as an available date for us.
I mean, I think we have to give Return to Learn, a lot of attention, and I also want to be in a good place to have a, these aren't easy conversations to have with Iowa Freedom Riders, and I want us all to be in a place where we can have potentially difficult conversations, and so maybe it is a good idea just to focus just for that Tuesday. But like Ruthina said, it doesn't have to be a Tuesday for me. I want to meet with Iowa Freedom Riders as soon as we can, but I also want to give Return to Learn a solid night.
Okay. I would, go ahead, Lisa.
I was just going to say, I just want to add my voice. I'm happy to meet with the Freedom Riders anytime. And I would remind us when Janet sent out the dates for our board retreat, we were shockingly available 100% for all of her proposed times. So I think we're still kind of in that pandemic Zoom where we have some heightened availability and flexibility to meet with them.
All right. So I would, Charlie.
No, I would be available too. At any time that they're, they'd like to meet. So
Here's the other thing, Sean. If Tuesday is the day that works for them, though, we can always probably move the return to learn to a different day, if that works. I mean, I don't want to put that necessarily in front of what we just told them, that they were important and we want to talk to them as a board.
I think there was, and Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, it's that return to learn plan, right, is due back the next day, right, to the state. And I don't know if that was the timing of it.
Well,
why
one
that
thing
was there,
yeah, thanks for that, Sean. One thing I should have said in the outset of requesting that, we're not going to put any pressure on you guys for a decision on something the 30th that has to happen the 1st. I think part of the conversation is, I think still the public just from around the state is thinking that like a major decision's coming on the 1st, and that's not necessarily the case. But we've been working from a timeline, right, that is trying to help us prepare for July. And so it's not like you're going to make a major decision on the 30th with an expectation that, that's what we're doing on the 1st or anything like that. So I don't want you to mislead that we're backing you to a corner or anything on that. We just feel like we need to be transparent with you about information, that we've got, that we think we've tried out some of these solutions, some of our key decisions, that we feel like we have made or that will affect our planning for the fall. Timing wise, I understand what Paul's saying. And I also think JP has an excellent point, that they're both heavy conversations for different reasons. And so I do think, that's the caution against loading them both on the same night is, just the, I mean, it's human nature, right? I mean, there's a little bit of fatigue. You get into those two big conversations, and are you going to be able to have them both or want to have them both on the same evening? But we'll work with whatever. So I just think the timing of it, return to learn, we don't want to wait too long either, because the public is going to start expecting things from us in July and some answers to their questions, which they deserve to.
Could we set return to learn 24 hours for like this Thursday? And then that way, if we're not going to hear from the Freedom Riders until tomorrow, that would give us enough time to have a Thursday meeting with them. But if we know we have to do this return to learn meeting, we do return to learn on Thursday. And then after that, every single day is available for the Freedom Riders.
I'm not sure. I don't know if you're asking about this Thursday for us. I don't think we'd be ready to turn around and be able to give you something Thursday night, Lisa. I mean, if we needed to try to do something maybe we just shoot for Tuesday for both and we try to limit the time. We'll be efficient with the time on each. And if we would need to come back, return to learn again, we could definitely do that. Hopefully they're available also on the 30th and we just try to respect the time. I mean, we could tell them a time and then we'd have to cut our return to learn conversation off on that. It kind of goes against what I just said about it being heavy, but we'll try to keep it high level. And then if we need to come back with some further details or some further information, we could certainly do that in the next week's fashion too. That might be the easiest. I think the key piece is knowing when the Freedom Riders can meet, right? Once we know that, we'll be able to chart this out a little better.
Well, if you wanted it done before the 1st, then what's stopping us from having a meeting on Monday and then one on Tuesday?
How about for now, we're having a meeting on Tuesday, right? So we're going to say we're having a meeting on the 30th. And as of right now, we're penciling in a return to learn. If we are able to get our communication, in the next, 24 to 48 hours with the Iowa Freedom Riders with the date that works. If it happens to be Tuesday, we'll get that out there before agendas go up. And if it's a different date, we'll get that out there, in front of everybody as well. But for now, we're going to plan on, we're having at least a meeting on the 30th. And we'll leave it at that. We know what the agendas are for both those. So I don't think we need to set the agendas for those. And then as Ruthina mentioned, there is a P&G meeting on the 7th, which is the following Tuesday. Because we have a 5 Tuesday June, we have a couple Tuesdays between now and the next regular board meeting. I'd probably throw that out there to Paul and Ruthina on the P&G committee. If that Tuesday work to meet with one of these groups, would we be able to tack it onto that? Because I don't know that our P&G meeting would be super long. So that may be another potential date is to have it meeting after that if we don't get meeting ahead of that. But in that meeting, it's going to finish up the 600s, and then we, as Ruthina mentioned earlier, start back over. So now I'm going to get to the 14th, if that's okay with everybody. We do have a closed session at 4. And then in our regular board meeting, it's a pretty short and sweet agenda so far. I'm going to think that, we're going to have, work sessions and other meetings ahead of that. So I'm guessing we're going to pencil in some updates from those meetings to have at the board table. And I know we were at some point in July, I think we talked about bringing back secondary voluntary transfer. And at some point, getting the process started on the superintendent search, at least looking at, a firm or an RFP or whatnot, and then that might be a couple meetings out. Are there other things besides the heavy topics that we're going to hit in our work sessions that we want to throw on the meeting on the 14th? It seems like a really long ways away. All right, any other meetings or future topics you want me to put down as placeholders for later?
The solar update on that.
I already wrote down Arabic.
And then, we got an email about West High's field being locked. I don't know if we could, maybe that's an easy question or an update on what exactly are our policies, not COVID related, but in general with the public using our facilities. I don't know if we need an agenda topic or if that's just an email.
I wonder, JP, if we could do that with.
Yeah, if you wanted to just try to email that one, JP, we can see if we can get an answer to you sufficiently, and then if it's not, we could agenda it.
JP, you mean regular course of business, not during the pandemic? Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure. And then on your solar, did you want that as part of an FMP update, or do you want that separate?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess just, what the latest.
Okay.
I mean, I guess FM.
We'll need to put I asked because we probably need to put an FMP 2.0 work session on the calendar.
Yeah,
in the next couple months as well.
And that could be a part of that.
Anything else from anybody? All right. Usually we end our meeting, but that's not happening now. We got one thing left on our agenda, and I'm really disappointed that it doesn't say roast. But since I have the floor, I get to go first. And I'm going to make it short and sweet. I'm not actually going to roast Steve, but I'm finding some symmetry here. And a lot of folks that know me know that I kind of got started with my involvement on a district-wide level when I started attending meetings with the DPO. And the first year that I did that was Steve's first year in the district. And so I was aware of the other superintendent when my kids were very little, and I just wasn't all that involved other than running a fun fair. But from that whole time as a district-wide level of interest, Steve's been our superintendent. And long before I was on the board, he was always available for me to talk to, and he gave me, just advice on how to, you know, handle whatever issues I was running into. And then as a board member, I think he talked me off the ledge more than once when I got really upset about something or was just anxious about something. He really helped me kind of work through and just remembered that it's about the work and it's not about me. You know, it's on me to change me, but it's all on all of us to do the work. And I think today really emphasizes the work that we all have to do. But I also want to mention, you know, I got to meet Steve's family, his wife and youngest son anyway, several years ago when our boys were both going through confirmation classes at church together. So I got to have a few conversations with Darcy while the boys were off doing their thing. And so I really appreciated kind of having that kind of that personal connection. I think a lot of us forget that while it's not personal and it's all about the work, that people forget that we are all people. And so I do appreciate being able to build that relationship. And like I said, the symmetry is I'm starting this role as a president, which is again, something that I'm very anxious about. But I'm doing it at a time, you know, when Steve's leaving, and it's a very insane time in our district for lots of reasons. And I appreciate all the advice and the time you've given me in the past, and I hope to continue the success this district has seen under your tenure and just make it even better to the best of my ability. So thank you, Steve, for all your work, and thank you for assembling this great team here that I'm looking at all the little faces. And I just really appreciate all the time you spent. All right, now everybody else gets to go.
I want to go last, so whenever everyone's done, just let me know.
I can go. Yeah, so, you know, I was here before Steve, and so, was here for that transition and in the district. And I'll tell you and frankly, both Brian Kirschley and Chris Lynch mentioned this, but the amount of structure that we have in place now, the plans that we have in place, the systems that we have in place that are helping us all do this work are Steve's doing and his leadership, and that is appreciated. I think I'm very appreciative. Also, Sean, when you said the time that Steve spends, I think, educating board members with advice, he seems to know something about every topic mentioned and ever. And that's appreciated, but especially ed policy and what's going on here in the state. He's really had his ear to the ground and his sleeves rolled up to do the work. So, but I'm most appreciative of this time and you leaving us with these structures and these systems that we'll be able to use going forward to continue to do this work. So thank you very much, Steve, for all of that.
So I'll go because I'm not good at goodbyes. So I'll just say I do appreciate you know, everything that everybody else has said about you, and especially your willingness to listen, even to sometimes the hard conversations that we have had in your office one-on-one during my time as a board member. I have appreciated the ability to be my 100% authentic self during those conversations. And I know that, you know, you have dealt with a very different makeup of board members. So I appreciate your ability to remain professional, doing all the turnover and different personalities that you have encountered. And more importantly, I greatly appreciate your leadership that we saw and had during the FMP and the assembly of the great team that you're leaving behind. So just know that I think your legacy will continue because we have some of the great people that you have helped to mentor and mold, taken over to lead our district going forward. So I wish you the best of luck in Wisconsin. Just don't root for Green Bay.
I'll go next. Steve, we've worked the shortest amount of time together compared to other board members, but I really am appreciative of the time that we did get to work together. I am super honored to have gotten to sit next to you at our board meetings and get all of your nuggets of wisdom. I feel like that was really beneficial. And getting to know you in that way. And we are going to miss your depth and broad institutional knowledge. I think you're a type of leader that whatever came up, I know I could say, well, what does Steve think? And want to hear what you have to say, because you're just so knowledgeable about this job and the way to go. The thing that you've blessed us with is hiring a great executive and admin team. And so that's the gift you're leaving us. And I'm grateful for that. Thank you. We are going to miss you, but I also think that we're in good hands because of your leadership. So thank you for that gift, and good luck in Wisconsin.
So I'll jump in real fast. Steve, I'm not going to say much. I think you know how I feel. I consider you a good friend. We've been through it. I wish you all the very best in Green Bay, and I am highly confident we're going to stay connected. Text me whenever, and I'll do the same. Best of luck, and we'll be in touch.
I know I'm not a board. Could I jump in on behalf of ICEA, if that's okay? Tara? Sorry. So Steve, on behalf of ICEA, I just want to extend a deep, profound thank you for your partnership and your collaboration over the 10 years and the growth that we've had together. The state often asked me, can you get the admin team and you guys to come over and tell us how you do it? And I often, that's the truth. And I have to say, well, we're sort of busy. That's sort of what the partnership is about, is we're actually doing work together. When I talked with folks in Green Bay, and I laid out all of the things that we did structurally, just the regular meetings, all of the things that we put into place to be your partner, they were overwhelmed. And I think that's why they're so excited to have you. And it's why it is a big loss for us. And I also appreciate, and I think on behalf of teachers, that you have a teacher's heart. And your wife was in our schools volunteering. Not a lot of people know that. And I was fortunate to have Andrew, one of your sons, in class. So I remember you being in my classroom on some of those back to school nights where it was probably 95 degrees and we're all sweating bullets and out at West High School. So that part I also knew. I will just share some anecdotes. Like when we would do listening posts together, and I would walk around, and I've been in the district 24 years. And everyone would be like, all these teachers that I know, sort of, but they're all like, hey, Steve, because you'd been in their classrooms, and that I just thought, how does he know everyone better than I do? But I think that just speaks to the type of leader that you were. I loved that you put artwork that kids created in places to provoke people. I think that's another little known thing that you would do. And my wife, of course, is an art teacher, always loved that you were at every single art show. And then my last little thing that, of course, I'll miss you a lot as a friend. And, our meetings in my room at Liberty, when you'd forget your fob and do a little off-roading in your Jeep to get to the back parking area. And just all the collaboration that we had and all of the things that we shared. So just a really deep sense of appreciation for the type of leader you are. And I know that Green Bay is going to do great things with you there. So thank you for everything.
So Steve, as you know, you and I have had difficult relationships in the past. I think much more promising now. I'm reminded that, at least in my understanding, from the labor world, there's a saying that none of us have permanent friends, nor do we have permanent enemies. And I'm trying to think about your leaving. I think that somewhat describes my feelings. We've disagreed quite strongly and bitterly about specific things that decisions you made, and then over the overall direction of the district, mostly around issues of race and somewhat, and even more, and also of personnel decisions. But I've also come to see that you've been dealing with a set of problems in the district, a set of issues in the district that would be difficult for any superintendent to address. And I've been trying to keep that in mind and thinking about why decisions have been made in the past that I didn't agree with. So I hope for the best for you in Green Bay. I really don't care about the football thing. If you want to do Green Bay Packers, fine, go right ahead. And I hope you and your family do well there. And, my daughter went to school in Appleton, Wisconsin, which is weather-wise no different than Green Bay. And she enjoyed her time there. So I hope you enjoy your time in Green Bay too.
All right, I guess it's my turn now, Steve. So you can.
Do you have a whole notebook you just pulled out?
Technically, that's how I was going to end it. This is my notebook from when I first started with Steve, and I'm actually down to the last page, which is kind of ironic. And you can't really read it. It says "Go Bears," obviously, because the Bears, it's Bear Down, Chicago Bears, right, Matt? Ruthina, right? Yeah. So we got that.
Definitely.
But no, I just have a little sheet of paper, Sean. I'm sorry, but I'll cover some things. Surprisingly, at my not even 4-year mark yet, well, yeah, actually July 19th, I think, 4 years with Steve. I'm only one of 29 board members, which is more people than are on the screen right now in the 10 years that you were here. And that's a difficult task that you undertook. I know the board members that are on here can tell you that you think you might be able to walk in and be a board member and be successful at it and know everything. But man, when you get in there, it is not the case. And one of the first books that you had me read, I think it was How to Not Be a Bad Board Member. Chime in on the title because I highly recommend it to everyone. But it pretty much, as I read it, it was like it was written about our school board at the time, which was interesting because we were doing all of those things and it may not have been right. You also, I think, just underwent your 8th president and 8th vice president combination in 10 years.
12th vice president.
What was 12?
12.
Okay, well, 12, that's more than years that you were here. So that's a crazy number to think about. And I appreciate you taking the time with all of those board members and making us feel welcome and teaching us. I appreciate the work that you've done with the teachers union to strengthen that commitment. When bargaining rights were stripped, we were one of the only districts to put in our legislative priorities that we wanted those back. And I think that's a good thing. And when I talk about some of the things you do, I hope the rest of the team that's listening realizes that they were all part of this. So when we are saying the nice things about you, they also should reflect to them as well. The 10-year facility master plan that was passed is something that is over $200 million. I know for a fact, being on the board, when that was being discussed, that there was quite a lot of discussion about whether or not that actually could pass at that amount of money. And I appreciate you helping to push that through to make sure that we went to the vote with some of these board members that are elected here and successfully passed that at a more than record amount. That was kind of the cap of you and probably Dwayne as well, that you guys physically, I believe, touched every school in the district in the time that you were here and made it better. Now, made it better, you closed a couple, and I'm totally okay with that because it made the district better as a whole. I know people disagree with that, but I know for a fact that made a district better. And for you to have touched those buildings and, as we said in the facility master plan, You brought the first new elementary school to the east side of the river in 40 years. That was a big accomplishment, as well as to go back and to make sure that those old buildings were taken care of. As we moved into this time that we were in, I also remembered quite well a discussion about going one-to-one at the secondary level. There was some pushback to that as well. And thank God we did that, because at the time the discussion was, well, we would only really need these in a case of an emergency. And in case of an emergency probably came a lot faster than what people had thought. I appreciate the fact that you were out training other superintendents, because that meant that what you were doing here was respected, and that people wanted you to train them as well. I will say, Matt, I am looking forward to hearing a different graduation speech from the superintendent. As those of you who know, Steve rotated like 3 every year, and having been on 4, I don't know, they all were the same to me. I don't know, it was a quote from a book, and
I think only the poem was
Yeah.
different, Paul. The speech was the same. Yeah.
Yes, but it was rotated. So I felt like I heard them all at the same time, and I was sweating. So it didn't, I even had to laugh when I watched the one from City High, because I was like, oh geez, here he goes again. So Matt, if nothing else, you're going to have a different speech at graduation next year. And I'm looking forward to that. I appreciate the work that you did on the RAM model and bringing that. I don't know of anybody else that has that or had that at the time. I appreciate your desire to go through all the policies and revise them. Ruthina and Sean may disagree, but those meetings have been fun, not as fun as debating a comma. As you recall, at one of my first policy and governance meetings, the debate over a comma and Kim's laughing because she knows that debate was way longer than it should have been. Finally, well, a couple other things. I won't miss hearing this is a call from Superintendent Murley. So if you could refrain from that, Matt, that would be great. I know a lot of people either despise that call or were super happy if they were kids. And then finally, I had one gift for you. You're not here. Let me move my brick to get it. This is your right hand. I'm giving it back to you. For those of you who don't know, I often was referred to as Steve's right-hand man. So I should give him his right hand back because I don't need it anymore. I know that was, Steve knows that was more of a joke. And if those on the outside that said I was the right-hand man didn't see the interactions between Steve and I on the other side, because we did have a lot of conversations about things. So I don't need this anymore. If you need it for Green Bay or wherever, I'll give it back to you at some point when I see you. And the last thing, it's a testament to our district that you did stay here for the 10 years and both of your kids graduated from here because you wanted them to get the education from the Iowa City Community School District. And so I think that speaks to the volumes for the work that you did here. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Sean or to Steve for any comments.
Well, I just want to thank Paul for, we finally got the roast, so I really appreciate that. And it's How Not to Be a Terrible Board Member is the book, and I've got a copy if anybody wants to read it. It's fantastic. And I assume all of the other admin teams are going to get their licks in on Steve at some other date, but Steve, I'd open up the floor to you to, give the rest of us board members hell if you really want to, as our last full board meeting together anyway.
Well, I'll just say thank you. It's been an extraordinary pleasure. It's been a high point in my career from a personal standpoint, as several of you mentioned. My kids, through the gift of teachers like Brady, had an incredible experience as students participating in extracurriculars in the community. Brady, as you mentioned, whether it was the schools or the community, opened their arms up and welcomed my wife and provided her opportunities to give back while we were here. So it's been an incredible time. And the admin team hears this a million times, so you'll just have to bear with me. But I always talk about the difference between a house and a home, and a house is just a building. A home's the people that live inside of it, and the home's made up of the team members. And Brady, whether it's the teachers whose classrooms I got to visit, Dwayne, our skilled tradesmen, our custodians, those folks that I got to go watch in action, our admin team, the people that work in the district are really what make this such a special place. And they were such a pleasure to work with. And every time I got to interact with them, just humbled me and reminded me of the service ethic and why we do what we do. And so I thank all of you for giving back to your community through your service as board members. It's often a thankless job, but without you, we couldn't do what we do. And so I just would like to extend my most sincere gratitude for all of our students, our staff, the community, for everything that I've been able to participate in over the last 10 years. Amazing it's been that long, and just such a pleasure to be able to look back over it and think about everything that we did together on behalf of our students. So my most sincere gratitude to all of you.
Thanks so much, Steve. And it's so weird not being there in person. So perhaps sometime when this pandemic is over, we will all take a trip to Green Bay, perhaps for a Bears-Packers game. And I don't know, say goodbye in person. But we'll probably have another meeting or two with you before this is all over. So go ahead.
There's no chance we go to a Bears-Packers game because that means it's winter in Green Bay. And the schools will be closed, and Steve would have called everyone, and so we don't want to hear that again. So how about a summer like camping or spring, something outdoors?
All right, well, I'll pencil that in for a future agenda setting, summer at Steve's house.
Like a real retreat.
Oh, I like it. All right, any last minute comments for the good of the cause, as Janet always likes to say? That was my favorite phrase. Oh, this is weird. All right. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, everyone. We will be back in touch with whatever our meeting schedule is over the next week. And Steve, we're going to make it come to those two. All right. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.
Night, folks. See ya.